Welcome to the 89th video in our series about Unix tools. In this video, I'm going to continue showing you how to use Git for a simple one-person project. In this video, I'll use Git and explain what I'm doing. But first, let's review what we did in the last video. In the previous video, we just tried to check in files we should not. And because of our git ignore file, Git was able to warn us, and we avoided doing that. And I noted that while Git's command line interface is complex, Git does love you. A version control, which is what Git is, system has several duties. And one of those is to keep a good history of the changes made to the stored data. In our case, source code. We have used git log and git diff to see those changes. Git log gives us the commit messages and some dates and times. Git diff shows a unified patch output. But we've mostly used default options. We did learn that you could add this name status option to git log to get something that looks like the git status short output appended to each commit at the end of the after the check-in message or whatever, and it showed what files were added, modified, or removed. But there is much more Git can do for you. Let's explore that a little bit. So if we go back into Yo, I believe that's where we were working. Yes, here we are. And if we do a git log, like we've done in other videos, you notice that it automatically runs it through a pager, and usually less as the pager it uses. And it shows the history with the newest thing first, working back. If we go all the way back to the initial version. And this is the default way to show things. And we get the commit hash. We get the author of the commit, the date and timestamp, and we get the commit message. For some of these, I only had one line. For others, like this one, only had one line. This one had several lines of information. It depends on what you're doing, how much of a commit message you really need to give. Well, that's nice, but I would hate to have to use this to create a traditional changelog file. This is too much information. What can we do to make things better for creating a changelog file? Well, let's try this. Wow, look at what that did. The reverse caused the messages to start with the very first commit and work to the newest commit last, so it reversed the list. And this pretty format thing gives us just the first line of each commit message, which is why I said that needs to be conceptually a title, and you shouldn't stop in the middle of the sentence. And so this format puts the space, star, space, which is fairly traditional. Some people don't use a star, they use a minus or a plus. But you can get just the first line of each commit message. And it's sorted in order, and it does better than the git short log, which we had here, because it gives the same information, but we don't get this extra blank line. We don't get who committed it because, like I said, I'm showing you how to use Git for a single person, linear, no branches style. And so this works well. Can we get the regular Git log with the initial commit first and showing it in reverse? Sure we can. Just put the reverse flag, and then the last line will be the last commit. So the reverse and the format are independent of each other. You can do the reverse and not the format. You could do the format and not the reverse. And you could see this would give you a messed up change log, but it's the same format and it's just not sorted. And of course, you know, if you've watched my videos, you could fix it with tact, but then look what happened. You know, you got some messed up lines here, and it turns out it's better to do it all in Git like that. And so you might wonder, well, are there other things I can do with Git log? Sure. They have this format with an abbreviated hash instead of the full 40 bytes. And it adds a little bit more information. This tells you that this is the head on the master branch, which we only use one branch, so that doesn't matter. And head means it's the last commit. And so it shows the last commit first. I don't really love this style, but there are many ways you can do things. Get log, and then you could pretty equal email. I'm reading some notes here. Let's take a look at this one. Wow, this looks like messages from email, which is why it said pretty equal email. But you, instead of, you know, a real email, it shows you there is the commit hash, and here's a human readable version of the date and time. Here is the information we gave when we did our git configure. If you remember, we had to give them an email address and they wanted a name, and so that's used here. And they take the first line of your commit message and they put the word patch in front and the subject. Again, it looks very much like email. And we've got a diff stat here to show what happened. It says readme, 3 adds, factorial, 10 changes total. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 adds, and I had 4 deletes. And we had 6 adds and 3 adds. You can see 9 insertions. I only had 4 deletes, 4 deletions. How many files? 2 files, which it tells you that. And then you get the full patch information like we did a git diff. All that's included. And it shows you the full patch for both of the files. There's the readme and the factorial. And then you get to the next one like this. And so we can get them all. And you could say, can I reverse that? Sure you can. The -p gave us the patch. The pretty email gave us this kind of header structure. The stat gave us this part. And yes, we can reverse it. And you see it starts with the initial where everything's an add. 161 insertions because it's the initial version. And so the gits are compared to dev null, and that's what an add looks like in diff format. So powerful. And if you just want one, how do I get just one? Well, let's go back to our original plain git log. And let's say you wanted the information where we cleaned up t-sign. I want this information about this one. So I only want this one commit but in that really cool style. Well, you might think, okay, I'll do that, and I'll give the commit number, and I'm looking at the output, and it shows that commit. Did that do it? No, look, it's got the cleanup T sign, but it's also got everything before that. Oh, daggone it. There's one more option you have to add. You have to limit it and say just one commit. And if we do that, you can see it's the hash we want. You can see the message. It's got the diff stat, it's got the patch, and it's just the one commit. And so with these options, each one doing a separate job, the in one says, I just want to know one change from the long list. This tells you which one to start with. This tells you, give me that stat information with the pluses and the minuses about the changes. This one says I want a patch in unified diff format. This says give me that header block that makes it look like an email. And we use all these things together. And of course, this part could have a range, and you could have, you could have another one. So powerful. And if you do a man, and remember when you want to man get log, you can't do that. So they put a minus in there like this. Man accesses the online manual pages, and you can see, as we saw before, 2,531 lines of different things you can do. So when you can't get the right kind of output, it's probably because you haven't figured out the right options to use. But I've shown you some good combinations. I find this one is the best for a single commit. I like this if I was going to examine it and try to search for it. You could put that in some file, or you could grep it, for some particular change. So it's rather convenient. The get log one line just gives you a quickie, and you can reverse that if you want to. So that's what I wanted to show you in the video today, was just how powerful get log is. And you can get minimum output like this all the way down to our simple change log that we did, which doesn't even show the hash, all the way up to the complete email with a diff stat, with a patch, with everything. Whatever you need, get log can do it. You just have to learn the options. That's enough for this video. Please come back next time. We won't do get log again, where our next video is going to be about old school. We're going to compile some Fortran. But until then, thank you for listening.